Hello, everyone. I'm Steve,
And I'm Scott.
and together we are Backyard Musings, Apple Valley, California.
And I'm actually in Utah, but we are the Science and Technology Channel.
Scott, are we the experts?
We are not. Just ask the people to listen to us.
We are not. But we got fascinating stuff from experts that we love to talk about.
We do.
So
We
here we
hope they're
go.
experts.
This is mind blowing. Yeah. Okay. Chewing gum can release thousands of microplastics into saliva. Scientists say more research is needed, but suggest chewing fewer pieces to reduce exposure. Plastic is everywhere, and many everyday plastics, such as cutting boards, clothes, and cleaning sponges, can expose people to tiny micrometer-wide particles called microplastics. Now, chewing gum may also be added to the list. In a pilot study, researchers found that chewing gum can release hundreds to thousands of microplastics per piece into saliva, potentially leading to ingestion. I suppose if you're not spitting the saliva out, you're probably going to ingest it. The researchers recently presented their findings at the spring meeting of the American Chemical Society. Would you like to know more?
Okay, so if it can be had from chewing gum, how about drinking water out of a plastic bottle?
Probably.
Okay. Chewing gums are made from a rubbery base sweetener, flavorings, and other ingredients. Natural gum products use a plant-based polymer, such as chicle or other tree sap, to achieve the right chewiness, while other products use synthetic rubber bases from petroleum-based polymers. Our initial hypothesis was that the synthetic gums would have a lot more microplastics because of the base. The base is a type of plastic, says Lisa Lowe, a graduate student who started the project as an undergraduate intern at UCLA and the presenter of this research. And I just remembered what that comment was about. So bring me back to that at the end of this.
It shocked me that they said synthetic rubber from petroleum-based polymers, bubble gum. That shocked me. I never knew that.
Yeah. Well, what else makes it rubbery, right?
Well, I thought you just picked the gum off from the gum tree and put it in packaging, and there it was.
I don't know.
Who was I to know? All right.
All I know is that I chew a lot of gum.
Yeah. The researchers tested 5 brands of synthetic gum and 5 brands of natural gum, all of which are commercially available. Sanjay Mohanty, the project's principal investigator and an engineering professor at the University of California, UCLA, says they wanted to reduce the human factor of varied chewing patterns in saliva, so they had 7 pieces from each brand, all chewed by one person.
Oh, nice. I could do that, I guess. In the lab, the person chewed the piece of gum for 4 minutes, which is not very long, producing samples of saliva every 30 seconds, then a final mouth rinse with clean water, all of which got combined into a single sample. In another experiment, saliva samples were collected periodically over 20 minutes to look at the release of microplastics from each piece of gum. Then the researchers measured the number of microplastics present in each saliva sample. Plastic particles were either stained red and counted under a microscope or analyzed by Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, which also provided the polymer composition. Okay.
Lowe measured an average of 100 microplastics released per gram of gum, though some individual gum pieces release as many as 600 microplastics per gram. A typical piece of gum weighs between 2 and 6 grams, meaning a large piece of gum could release up to 3,000 plastic particles. If the average person chews 160 to 180 small sticks of gum per year, the researchers, that's like every other day, the researchers estimated that could result in the ingestion of around 30,000 microplastics. Shocking. If the average person consumes tens of thousands of microplastics per year, gum chewing could greatly increase the ingested amount.
I feel a band coming on here.
Yep.
So, quote, surprisingly, both synthetic and natural gums had similar amounts of microplastics released when we chewed them, says Lowe. And they also contained the same polymers, polyethylenes, polyethylene tetraphthylates, polyacrylamides, and polystyrenes. That I'm familiar with. The most abundant polymers for both types of gum were polyethylenes, a group of plastics that produces polyethylene and polypropylene.
Well, I know polypropylene.
There's a lot of products, polypropylene, polyethylene, used in bags, like the bags you can't tear open, with your hands. You got to cut them or use your teeth, which you shouldn't do that. Those are made with that product. So
use in the Army, we use polypropylene for like undergarments to keep warm in the winter. Polypro.
They make pipe out of that. Polyethylene, polypropylene. Okay.
Most of the microplastics detach from gum within the first 2 minutes of chewing, but Mohanty says they weren't released because of enzymes in saliva breaking them down. Rather, the act of chewing is abrasive enough to make pieces flake off. And after 8 minutes of chewing, 94% of the plastic particles collected during the tests had been released. Therefore, Lowe suggests that if people want to reduce their potential exposure to microplastics from gum, they chew one piece longer instead of popping in a new one. That's crazy.
Yeah. The study was limited to identifying microplastics 20 micrometer wide or larger because of the instruments and techniques. It's likely, Mohanty said, that smaller plastic particles were not detected in saliva and that the additional research is needed to assess the potential release of nano-sized plastics from chewing gum.
So you're saying there's more plastics that are smaller that we don't even know about. Oh my gosh. Gee whiz.
And are we, as our body, absorbing those plastics, or are we passing them, or I don't know.
It's probably why we get cancer and, ADD and ADHD and OCD and whatever, autism.
Yeah, but how many people chew gum? I mean, I might chew 5 sticks of gum a day, maybe more.
Scott, it's easier to say how many people don't chew gum. That's easier to answer.
Yeah, and those that don't probably should. So
exactly. They're probably Democrats too.
Yeah.
Okay. Quote: the plastic released in saliva is a small fraction of the plastic that's in the gum, concludes Mohanty. So be mindful about the environment and don't just throw it outside or stick it to a gum wall or the underside of the desk. If used gum isn't properly thrown away, it's another source of plastic pollution to the environment too. Boom.
So if you put it on the roadway, it doesn't help the roadway stick together?
No, it doesn't help it stick together, no.
All right. The research was funded by UCLA and the University of Hawaii, maximizing access to Research Careers Program, which is funded by the National Institutes of Health, NIH, and the California Protection Council. The study's environmental approach was approved by the Internal Revenue Board at UCLA. So take it for what it's worth. Those are two. You can't get two more liberally leaning schools. So go for it.
All right, folks. If you have any experience with microplastics, chewing gum, or whatever, or you think that we're kooks, let us know.
Well, we are kooks, but the people that are writing this stuff may be just as kooky. So, anyway, take care, everyone. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
See ya.